Hello friends and welcome to the old abandoned bank here in the Peach Capital. Glad you're here. Today I'm working on something that I not only did not anticipate having to work on, but I don't want to do because I already made this window sash from scratch. It was the first one that I made. And I made it wrong. Painted it, had the glass in it. Even had the glazing around the glass. It looked beautiful until I put it in its place and realized that I put this is the bottom, actually. I put this in backwards. So in order to keep the rain out, I have to have a certain bevel on here. You might be able to tell that there's a bevel on this side, but it needs to be on this side for the window to operate. And that's unfortunate because this fits perfectly in its spot. When I was sizing them all up together, I had both of the empty window sashes in its place, and they are just beautiful together, but I didn't pay attention close enough, and where the window sits in is backwards. So I'm gonna have to try to not remake the whole thing. I'm gonna try to take this bottom rail out, cutting it out, chiseling it out. Luckily I didn't use any screws, anything metal in this. It's just all wood joinery. So I might be able to get it out okay. Maybe even be able to flip it around, because that's all I really need to do is turn it around. I've thought of every other option. I've stared at this thing. I've hoped that maybe it would fit into one of the other windows that I haven't completed yet, but it doesn't. It's just a little too short for anything else. Every window in here is a little bit different. So here we go. It's not that bad, you know? Just a minor happy accident. Ugh. Okay. It's pretty, oh wow. Woo, hey now. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Well, that's good. Wow, look, came apart. Way easier than what I thought. Cool. Now, can I make it work? No, not like that. Okay, got some figuring out to do. Well, that wasn't so bad. It took about 20 minutes to make this piece. The longest part of it was just staring at the other piece and coming up here looking at the window and the other window just to make sure I got it right. There we go. Didn't have to remake the whole window. You know, sometimes the projects you think are going to be the worst are the easiest, or at least easier than what you thought. there's a little bit of a gap in here. So I just filled it in with some scrap pieces of the heart pine. And I will, once this is all dry, I will come back and put epoxy in here. But first I'm going to put epoxy in all these little pinholes where nails were. This is a board that was in the wall right around here where I'm sitting. This little piece of wood's come loose, so I'm going to put some glue in there, clamp this down. Once this all is dry, I'll cut that off. It'll be really clean looking, I think. Well, I know it will. Well, this window sash is turning out really nice. You can't even tell where it was repaired. I'm liking this. But while we wait for this paint to dry on this rainy day, we're gonna take a little trip. There's a really cool event in a nearby town. I think you're gonna like this, especially if you like history. Welcome to Edgefield. It's the town right next to Johnston. It's about 10 minutes away to the old bank. Today's gonna be a fun day, even though it's raining. It's about 20 degrees less than it has been all week. It's a big gathering down here at the town square.
Thank you for another day. We want to give you praise for allowing us to come together this morning in celebration of the new American Revolution Monument that has been placed here on the square in the town of Edgefield.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed,
stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming. Oh, there's too many people to thank for this work. The 250 Committee, the Historical Society.
Another 18 months. South Carolina is pivotal in the Southern campaign and the Southern campaign to the winning of the American Revolution and the establishment of our nation. And we need to constantly remind ourselves of that and educate everybody else about that, because the revolution was won right here in South Carolina, and it may have started in other places, and we may know the bigger battles in the bigger cities in Charleston and Kings Mountain and Cowpens, but it was here in the backcountry with men like the militia soldiers over there that you see representing their ancestors. It was all about the fight in the backcountry, the people that supported it across this whole society, that turned the tide, that allows us to stand here today in a little bit of liquid sunshine to commemorate the establishment of this monument. So thank you for what we're doing. Thank you for who you are. Extraordinarily proud to be back here in Edgefield County in this great part of the state.
Richard Johnson, Thomas Harvey, who was killed at Rogers Plantation, Jesse Johnston, John Presley, David Presley, Abram Richardson, Nathaniel Goff, Richard Jones, Abner Hammond, and George Rogers. These men embody the essential truth of every great struggle for freedom that is carried on not by their celebrated figures alone, but by ordinary men and women. They remind us that the making of history is not reserved for the famous. I want to close with a quote from President Ronald Reagan that perfectly suits our event today. During his farewell address on January 11th, 1989, he said, quote, "If we forget what we did, we won't know who we are." And that could result ultimately in an erosion of the American spirit. Let's start with some basics. More attention to American history and a greater emphasis on civic ritual. Edgefield has accomplished both of President Reagan's challenges today by the dedication of this monument. Thank you very much.
Wow.
But that's part of that process. Is knowing what you're going to do, where you're going to go, who's doing what.
Hey, nice to meet you. Hi, please. Hey guys, you did a great job. Thank you.
There's a little reception across the street. This is cool. Turns out today is the opening day of the Edgefield County, what do they call it now? The Historical Society Welcome Center and Library. There's archives of all kinds of history in here. This whole area is really rich in history, obviously. Revolutionary War history, Civil War history, all kinds of stuff around here. I love this area. Even Alamo history. A couple folks from Edgefield fought in the Alamo. If you're a Back to the Future fan, you might think that I'm on a movie set here today because it looks so much like Hill Valley. It does remind me of Hill Valley, but it's not. No, we are in Edgefield, South Carolina. I'm checking the Weather Underground app and it says a 49% chance of rain today. But the sky is clear, so I'm pulling these boards off of these windows today. There's no more waiting. We're gonna do it. Got some holes to fill in here on the outside of the trim where I've been screwing the board into it. That's an easy repair. Then we're gonna paint this and hopefully beat the rain today so I can get 2 coats of paint on this. May not happen, but just getting one on is fine. Awesome. Looks pretty rough, but I'm really happy about this. Let's get the other board off. I'm gonna leave this board out here because we may not get to leave this off of the window today. Hopefully we do. Hopefully we do. If we work fast, when I say we, I mean me, work fast, well, I think we can get it done. Awesome. And we only have a couple small holes. There's 2 holes in each of these frames, so I'm gonna cover up with this epoxy. And even though I'm mixing a small amount, I've got some other places inside on some other window frames that are in process. I'm gonna use the leftover. So if you're using this type of epoxy, make sure you got some other places you know you can use it before it dries up. You only got about 2 or 3 minutes of good use. And just don't wanna waste it. Cool. Now we'll wait for that to dry and sand it and paint it, finally. While I'm waiting for the epoxy to dry outside, getting ready for paint, I'm going to put the glass in this sash. I'm going to use the old points that came out of the old window. I got plenty of other points as well. There's a couple different varieties of points that you use to keep the glass in place. I like the triangle style a little better. We're gonna get started on this thing pretty quick though, and hopefully get this window in before any kind of rain comes today. I think we can do it. The glazing has to cure in the outside environment. It's not good to leave them inside to cure, and it has to cure for about 2 weeks before you can paint over the glazing. So we're gonna go ahead and put the glass in and install it as soon as possible. If you're curious about glazing, or may not even know what it is, it's the little beveled area around the edges of glass in old windows. It's a special oil-based putty that dries really hard and keeps everything exactly in place. It adheres to the glass and makes a watertight seal. I'm gonna do a whole video on how to glaze a window. That's not gonna be for today. There's some details in it that will make your life very easy if you are doing this kind of project on your own. But we're not gonna get into all those details on this video. That'll be for a whole separate video. There's so much to it. So in the meantime, I'm gonna turn the fan on because it's quite hot in here today. Turn on the Grateful Dead and get to it. So enjoy this time lapse. Well, I broke the glass. There's a crack in it. I put the point in. I just got it too tight. I broke it. Each one of these is about $100. This one's a goner. Ugh. Okay, well, that's the way it goes in old Hollywood. That's what they say, I guess. Well, breaking the glass is no fun. It's a little frustrating, but I'll put that glass to purpose with something else. I'm sure there's some kind of project I can come up with. Well, let's get these things sanded. It's been about 25 minutes. They should be ready to go. You know, I'm not the only one working in this town. There's a couple of buildings downtown here. Well, downtown, if you want to call it downtown. Uptown, downtown. Some friends own buildings here and they're doing some work to them. There's a lot of progression in the Peach Capital these days. I was just reminded of that because there's some roofers working a couple buildings down. I heard some coughing followed by a very natural aroma wafting this way. Looked over and saw some guys working on the roof. It's a good thing. I was just standing back to admire how beautiful this window is. And I realized I painted it wrong. You see this inside part of the trim that stands out like crazy? That should be green as well. So I gotta paint that. It's not that big of a deal, but it does need to be done. I was wondering about that because I was staring at this front window that I got the paint colors from, and I noticed that there's green all the way in this inside part of the casing. And I thought, well, that's strange. I wonder why they paint half of the inside of the casing green. It just didn't dawn on me until I saw the window assembled why it made sense. So no big deal. Now I know, at least on this first window, I made that mistake. The second window, I made the other mistake. But this is how it goes. You just work your way through it until you figure out all the little details. And believe me, there are a lot of little details to these old windows that I wasn't really anticipating. I've worked on these old style windows before, but not that many times. This is like a crash course in historical preservation that is a little frustrating sometimes and tedious, but it's all worth it. It's gonna turn out great. It already looks awesome, but I can see some things that I need to do to improve on the other windows when I install them. And that's part of it. And really part of why I like this kind of work. Some people have said, it's not worth it. Put in vinyl windows, much easier. Oh no, these windows lasted 130 years. And they're probably gonna last just as long or longer this time. And I haven't seen any vinyl windows last that long. Of course, they haven't been around that long. But I know from experience of having vinyl windows in homes before that they break and they have little parts and pieces, that little springs, and then sometimes the argon gas leaves the middle of the pane. You get moisture in there and it looks bad. So there's pros and cons of everything, but I like these way better than a new vinyl window. And could you imagine the cost of a new vinyl window that's 8 feet tall? Come on, that's gonna be very expensive. And since I'm doing the work, well, I save all that labor, and it's just costing me the glass, which is about $100 per pane, and then the paint, and a little bit of time. Well, a lot of time. But hey, that's what I'm here for. Well, thanks for joining me today, friends, here at the Peach Capital, the old bank. I really appreciate your company. I wish we could have got more done, but I'm happy that we got this one window totally complete. It's installed, looks great. The other window is not looking so great with that board back on it, but yeah, the clouds are rolling in. Looks like it's gonna rain soon, so yeah, we had to board it back up. But we got further ahead on everything. I got some other work done on the inside with some other window sashes, so I don't feel like today's a loss. It's a little frustrating when things like this happen. You break something, you have to go get it again, but that's okay. That's part of the process. And I hope you enjoyed our trip over to downtown Edgefield for the dedication of the new Revolutionary War Memorial. That was a good time. Well, friends, I appreciate your company. I hope you look forward to the next video where we hopefully get that second window done. Maybe some other things too. Thanks for joining me, friends. I'll see you in the next video.